things. We've been joined on the line by the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Mustafa Bandi, to help us appreciate really why they had to issue the statement. Hello, Mustafa. Welcome to Point Blank.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, just to find out, were you at this meeting between the NDC or the meeting the IGP held between the NDC and the MPP?
Not at all, but I've got a briefing from my bosses who both attended the meeting with our National Communication Officer, Agency, and a briefing was given to us, so we are quite abreast to it.
I noticed from your statement that you confirm indeed the invitation by the IGP to the leadership of the NDC, and indeed you participated in that meeting with what you call the top brass of the Ghana Police Service. You also said that the discussions were quite cordial, and you were forthright in pointing to the police where you thought they were not doing well, amongst other things. But why did you have to issue this statement yourself?
Thank you very much. I think that basically, as stated, it's commendable to have an IGP who believes that it's important to summon a meeting with the very powerful political parties in this country. It's very commendable. Number two, the statement was issued to make it abundantly clear that without nothing to add, the NDC stands very different from the outcome of the meeting on certain critical issues that we believe that the police could have taken action, which they have failed to do so. That includes the investigation leading to the killing of people in the 2020 election. We believe that these killings were not done by civilians, or if you call people from the MPP, they were done by merely forces and security officials who were deployed. And we all know that one of the mandate of the police is to protect, one, citizens who go to places to cast their vote, two, protect election officers. And so if for whatever reason lives have been lost, it should keep the police busy to investigate and by now give Ghanaians some hope that we truly have a robust, strong police service. Number two, if you recall the issues that ensued in Cape Coast, where we are yet ourselves to come to terms how that clash occurred. To the largest extent, people believe that it was an orchestration from the NPP to stage that attack so that they could use that opportunity to go after our boys. Now, you saw that one of them was arrested, and he said he was tortured whilst in police custody. A complaint was made, was lodged to the IGP. He should give us some information about that. Then another guy who was killed, or who was tortured in Wenchi during the registration. All these issues, including the murder of one outstanding MP of the MPP, who is in government today. They have failed to do investigations on all of these issues. We believe that that should be where the police should focus their energy on. Now, coming back to the meeting itself, my personal opinion is that Brian Achampong made a statement. We have not commanded men to go and catch him and teach him some lessons. We have been law-abiding, lodge a complaint to the police. One of the first things the police ought to do is to invite the individual, take his statement, and then do an investigation. So when all this is done, and the IGP seems to endorse a mediation of this level of crime by calling a meeting of political parties and stating that he has established a theater of examination and that a comment didn't have what it takes to be a criminal comment. It is not his place He does not have the authority. He does not have the power to do so. The body to determine that is the court.
Very well, but the police will have to start the investigations and prosecute, start the prosecution. Indeed, the court, if I could just, the police will take the matter to court with their facts and law and everything to argue for the judge to make a determination. But they are saying that they cannot, establish a prima facie case based on the comments. So they really have to establish that, so they have confidence in their own case before they go to court. So I'm not sure saying that they could not, or the comment did not meet that threshold. I'm not sure that's out of place. The comment, they must be sure, breaches a certain law before they go to court. They are saying that it did not meet that threshold.
First of all, my issue has to do with the position of the law, that every person is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. So therefore, when an action is reported to the police, how did the police examine the conduct, the issues, to establish that it didn't meet a threshold when they didn't invite the person involved? Then in another case, if the same threshold examination theater exists, did they have to take the Swami Youth Organizer of the NDC through that same threshold? What they did was to invite him, and we presented him to the police. Then the police began an investigation. So to determine whether a certain conduct meets the threshold of a criminality for the police to be able to investigate, you must first invite the person. The police cannot pronounce Brana Champong guilty or not guilty until you investigate his comment. You can't do that until you have invited him. Did they invite Brana Champong? But yet they invited the Swami Youth Organizer, who is a very young man. He is not a government official, who lacks even the capacity to execute the things that he has said. We are not talking about a mean person, even though we are not scared of him. We are talking about a man who had access to internal security apparatus, a man who was a minister of state in charge of national security, a cabinet minister. So therefore, we are saying that his comment, one, is a declaration of the intention of government, that they will hand over power. Two, they will use other sources to deal with that. Mind you, there is a document prepared by the cabinet of Akufo-Addo stating that they will develop mechanisms to try and neutralize the effect of other political parties, particularly the NDC, and they will use Brana Champong for that work. The document came out. Brana Champong never denied. The MPP government never denied the authenticity of that document. So if you look at the turnout of events, one, he communicated the intention of government. So does it mean that the IGP is scared of individuals who are in government when they have made comments that are very inflammatory and criminal in nature?
Very well. Let's do it. Let's do it. Another, yes. I think that point is one way. Let's do it. Another part of the statement. The police said that they have established, a task force for election matters, and contrary to what happened in the past, this time the task force has been established to deal with all election-related matters. Not as if few months or 1 year to election, then they will establish the task force. It's been nice, a standing or permanent task force. That certainly should be some good news.
My brother, we have seen IGPs come and go. Much as we commend this IGP, a young man, very brilliant, very intelligent, very forceful, it is not the business of IGP to begin to classify how to deal with crimes other than the threshold established by law. The mechanisms are that crime is crime. There is no small crime. There's no big crime. There's no crime committed by a civilian. There's no crime committed by a politician. Every crime is a crime. So therefore, if anybody from the NDC goes and slaps somebody, the police duty is to pick the person. If anybody from the MPP goes and slaps somebody, the police, upon a complaint being made, have to pick up the person to face the law.
Very well.
So when you go and establish a cabinet, as if we are dealing with a palace, to try and know whether Mustafa has made a comment, whether it meets a threshold, and for me to begin investigation and all of that, and then you are establishing a legal department to honor, it is not his place.
I was actually talking about the task force. But that's fine. I think
there have been a lot of. That's why we are holding that. There are a lot of political crimes that have already been committed. The IGP and his task force should be busy dealing with that crime. The assurance we need from him is that 2024, looking at what has happened before, the deployment of a police officer to a police station should go to be busy protecting citizens who have gone to cast their vote.
Very well.
As a right of the Constitution. 2, should go there and protect EC officials and should not go there and become politicians. That is what we have seen in the past.
Very well.
The IGP should be busy dealing with his entity of the police to make sure that he are not used for works that are not within the mandate of the police service.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend Mustafa Bandi.